Hello and welcome back to No BS. Today we return to talking about these violent protests that are going wrong and going south throughout the United States of America. They're claiming to be supporting of the BLM movement, and also sometimes they're secretly Antifa members, but most importantly, they're all Biden supporters. These are left-wing liberal Biden voters hitting the streets and destroying property and lots of times hurting people and destroying people's lives. They've ruined businesses, torn down cities, taken the property values down in those areas, and pretty much made those places undesirable for anyone to come to. That means no vacationers, no people visiting, no stopping by on the way during a road trip. No one wants to move to these cities, certainly. I mean, these are Democratic strongholds basically divulging into chaos, and it's showing how bad and far gone the left wing has become. This only happens in their major strongholds like Portland, LA, San Francisco, New York, Chicago, so on and so forth. These big cities are liberal led, and they're basically letting their young, kind of more radical people take over and destroy things. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Today, we're talking about a series of 7 violent protesters coming from Manhattan. That's the big island in New York City, pretty much the premier city in our country. And you're never going to believe where these people, these protesters come from. They're not actually the races and demographics you might think. They're not actually as broke or as troubled as you might think either. I mean, you'd think a lot of these protesters would be coming from bad places like poverty, like people that were abusing them, or they were whichever. You'd think if you're protesting, you have a problem with your life. But it turns out most of these people are actually not the race you think, and they're actually far more privileged. So we're going to get to that soon. I got a story and some details about some of these protesters who were arrested for rioting, and we're going to go over all the details and all that soon. But first, let's take a quick moment to check out our sponsor. This is a medical grade UV sanitizer light that can automatically clean your smartphone in a full sanitizing process in around 6 minutes. That's right. You can put your phone in this device right here and it'll sanitize your phone. It's a good idea to do this after traveling, after coming home, going around town, going to the store. Nothing gets more hand action than your phone. This is a great option and a great way to help you sanitize that. And in addition, it can also sanitize your jewelry as well. It sanitizes a number of things that get put in this nice little device. And right now, if you order and you check out our special links below this video, you can get the Smart Sanitizer Pro for 50% off, and it'll include free delivery too. So that's a great deal. Hope you enjoy it. Now, back to the show. Great, now that that's out of the way, let's turn to this post from the New York Post. It says, "Inside the privileged lives of protesters busted for rioting in Manhattan." So here's 7 people, seemingly light-skinned, probably white. Maybe this person is Hispanic or something like that. But essentially, it's rich white people that are young, teenagers, 20-somethings, and they've been fed all these lies by the media. They're overprivileged. They don't have real struggles. So they go out and start fights in the streets. They try to pretend they're like social activists and they're saving the world or something, but clearly they're not. Clearly they're not even part of this minority group that they claim is oppressed. They're like fighting in honor of black people. That's what Black Lives Matter is supposed to be about. That's what these riots are supposed to be about. It's in response to supposed police brutality that's taking place all over the country that's still unproven and widely over exaggerated. And apparently it's gotten to these privileged teens, these privileged young people from Manhattan. So it makes sense that they are richer and very privileged. I mean, if you're living in Manhattan, you're definitely going to be somewhat well off. I mean, unless you're living in the streets or sharing some kind of apartment with 10 other people, and unless you're in some very rare instance, it takes a lot of money to live in New York City, in this downtown primary part particularly. So it's really not surprising. Other similarities I see between these people is they're all long-haired and kind of feminine, like feminine, masculine, like they're kind of like on the verge of both. Like the girls look mean and angry like guys. The guys look kind of girly and have these weird long hair. This guy has a strange kind of haircut there. His ears are pointing out a lot. And yeah, her ears point out too. It's just, it's interesting to see the kind of similarities and how none of them are black, which seems to be the group that's supposed to be oppressed, and they're all privileged. And let's see more into their lives to kind of expose the kind of hypocrisy within this movement. The so-called revolutionaries who were busted for rioting at a new African Black Panther Party rally took a break from their yacht club lives and modeling careers to be part of the mayhem. The 7 comrades, including wealthy Upper East Sider Clara Kraber, had their mugshots tweeted out by the NYPD early Wednesday, days after their arrest for smashing storefront windows in the Flatiron District. They were cuffed during a protest organized by the Panthers and the revolutionary abolitionist movement groups condemning the death of Daniel Prude, who was killed while in custody of the Rochester Police Department in March. Aside from Kraber, the redheaded daughter of an architect and a child psychiatrist with a second home in Connecticut, 5 of the others arrested also appear to come from privileged backgrounds, leading one police source to call their actions the height of hypocrisy. Yeah, that's what I was just saying. Here's the Clara chick. She's the redhead. Apparently, she's part of this rich family with multiple houses, never struggled in her lives. And it makes some sense too. I mean, it's not a good sense, but it's just saying these guys don't know how the real world works. They don't know how privileged they actually are. They're just lashing out because they think it's cool. They might even feel guilty for being so privileged, so they have to pretend that they're not, they're poor or something like that. And it's just showing the hypocrisy, how they have it good. They should be staying at home, staying safe, not breaking all these laws and causing this chaos and wasting the police time. I'm sure there's plenty of other real crimes and things to worry about in New York, especially right now. Frank Furmeister, 30, of Steuben Heights, charged with rioting and possession of graffiti instrument, is a freelance art director who's designed ads for Joe Coffee and has also worked for Pepsi, Samsung, and Glenlivet, among other high-profile brands. His LinkedIn profile and portfolio show he studied fine arts with a concentration in photography at Florida State College in Jacksonville, according to his LinkedIn, and his most recent address is a stately home on Reed Island Drive in the city's Tony, Beacon Hills, and Harbor neighborhood, public records show. Calls to Furmeister were unreturned, so it appears this guy is very educated and well off too. I think that's another trend that people have noticed with these protesters, these Antifa types. They're all college educated. They've all gone to universities where you can just pretty much assume that they've been indoctrinated there. They've been pushed left-wing politics. This is what happens at colleges now. It's really hard to get out of. It happens to almost all students. Even the strongest willed ones might have trouble resisting and breaking through all this propaganda. I mean, you got to really filter it out, and you could get sucked in to democratic causes. You could think you're being woke and more kind when really you're being patronizing and over the top. And that's why it's very interesting to see this from these guys. They're all college educated rich kids. Adi Sragovich, 20, is a student at Sarah Lawrence College from Great Neck, Louisiana, Long Island. I don't know. What's LI? Long Island. Okay. I didn't know there was an abbreviation for Long Island. That's close to New York, though. It says, according to police and her family, she's a college student from Long Island. She's 20 years old, another college student. And it says the young activist lost her phone during the rowdy weekend protest and promptly called up her mother, who made arrangements to replace the cell phone right away, her mom told the Post. She hasn't been terribly in touch. She's been off doing her own thing, said Sragovich's mom, Susan Jacobowitz, an English professor at Queensborough Community College. So we have another kid who's in college who has privileged parents. The other one had psychiatrist parents. This one has a parent that's a professor, and they're all pampering their kids and teaching them to be these woke activists. This is what is really going on with these Antifa types. I kept thinking I would get a call from the hospital or she'd get arrested because it seems like it's just dangerous times right now, Jacobowitz, who didn't know her daughter was arrested, told the Post. At least she's not on Rikers, she said. Before joining the protest, Sragovich was an accomplished musician who spent time performing in local theater groups and at the Seacliff Yacht Club, according to the Great Neck Record, which photographed her during a 2017 show. The article quotes her teacher saying how impressed she was with Sragovich's, who performed from her extensive repertoire of jazz numbers. In 2018, while a senior at Great Neck High School, Sragovich, I can't get that name, they keep putting it in there. Doesn't she have another name? Organized a walkout at the school following the mass shooting of this person in Florida. It really invigorated me. More recently, Sragovich in July was at an Occupy City Hall where she spent time fixing sandwiches in plastic bags of granola for breakfast, according to the New York Times, which interviewed her. So to me, this just seems like a protestaholic. Like they'll go to any protest. They're just about about protesting. They're not just going to specific causes. They're not just supporting certain issues. They just want to find protests because they love to beat the system. You know, they love to attack and take down social issues and stuff like that. And they're also, again, from privileged backgrounds. She's working at a yacht club. She's playing music. They're artists. They're going to these universities. Their parents are psychiatrists and professors. It's just a real big woke fest. Claire Severine, 27, who lives in Washington Heights and was charged with rioting, appears to be a sign model with the We Speak agency, who had the ability to jet among Montreal, Quebec, and Dublin, Ireland, before setting in the Big Apple to pursue a career in acting, according to a modeling profile with the same name. Claire has always had a profound respect for nature and enjoys hiking, photographing these hikes, and trying to get other people excited about our wonderful planet. Her modeling profile gushes. So we've got another actor, model person, another performer and artist with, a big profile job, flying around the world, having these privileged issues, flying in jets. Etkar Surret is a 27-year-old from Brooklyn who summered in Europe as a kid, is charged with rioting and possession of a graffiti instrument. When approached for comment at his Prospect Park South apartment Wednesday, Surret barked, "I don't want to talk to you, you can go away," and slammed the door in the reporter's face. Elliot Rucka, a 20-year-old from Portland, Oregon, charged with rioting, is the son of famed comic book writers Greg Rucka and Jennifer Van Meter, according to his father's online bio. Greg penned the comic book series The Old Guard, which he then adapted for a Netflix film of the same name, and co-created the Stumptown comic series that ABC optioned into a TV show last year. Calls to Rucka and his family went unreturned. So another person of a rich and privileged place coming from Portland, somehow in New York, which is a weird travel. And then, yeah, he has rich parents again. They're all from rich parents from liberal areas, and they're pretending to be oppressed when they're not. They're causing problems when they shouldn't. They're destroying their own cities, or sometimes going to another city and destroying it, which could even be considered worse. But regardless, this is what's happened, and this is how bad and terrible this whole movement has become. These people are not these oppressed victims like they claim. They are pretending to be victims. They want to be oppressed, and they want to also seem woke by, supporting the causes that are hip and chic at the time. They don't have a lot of independent thought. They're not about, thinking for themselves and being smart and, going and doing the right thing. They're about following the narrative, going along with woke liberal stuff, and basically just trying to ruin our country with this cultural Marxism stuff. That's BLM's plan. They've openly stated that they're Marxists, and that's what Antifa wants to do too. They act like they're anti-fascist, but they're really pro-communist, and that supports places like China, which are very authoritarian and bad, and not something America wants to be. That about wraps things up. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you comment your thoughts on everything below. Also, leave a like if you enjoyed what you saw, subscribe if you're new, and hit the bell for notifications too. Until next time, have a great day and a pleasant tomorrow.